Come closer.
أفاد سلطنة.
Before there were kings in Israel, there were judges. And before there was peace, there was always the same warning ignored, the same fall repeated. Israel had done evil in the eyes of the Lord, and the Lord raised up an enemy to teach them what freedom was worth losing. His name was Eglon, king of Moab, a large man, a hungry man, a man who had learned that other nations bend easier than they break. For 18 years he sat on Israel's neck, 18 years of tribute carried on the backs of a conquered people. 18 years is long enough for a people to forget they were ever free, but it is not long enough for God to forget them. From the tribe of Benjamin, God chose a deliverer, not a general, not a giant, a man whose only recorded distinction was a flaw the world called a weakness. Ehud was left-handed. In an age where every soldier trained the same hand, God does not always call the strongest hand to the fight. Sometimes he calls the hand no one is watching. Ehud was chosen to carry Israel's tribute to the palace of the king who had crushed them. A servant's task, a humiliation dressed as duty. He accepted it. A message can be carried in the hands. A message can also be carried in silence, strapped to the thigh, hidden beneath the folds of an envoy's robe. Ehud forged a blade with two edges, short enough to conceal, sharp enough to finish what one thrust would begin. He bound it to his right thigh, the side no guard would think to search. Every empire falls the same way in the end, not to the threat it prepared for, but to the one it never imagined. Moab searched for weapons. Moab did not search for men like Ehud. The road to Eglon's palace was paved with the tribute of a broken nation. Ehud walked it carrying both halves of his mission. Openly, he carried what Moab expected. Concealed, he carried what Moab could not survive. At the gate, the guards searched him the way men always search, for what they expect to find. They found a servant, they found tribute, they found nothing to fear. They let him pass. Every man who entered this hall bowed before Moab's king. Only one entered carrying the end of his reign. The doors of the palace closed behind him with the sound of a decision already made. Inside sat Eglon, surrounded by 4 of Moab's finest, men trained to end any threat before it could draw breath. They did not know they were standing in the presence of one. Power has a dangerous habit. It mistakes confidence for safety. Ehud approached and lowered his voice to something between a whisper and a secret. "I have a message from God for you." Eglon rose from his throne, an act of respect for words he believed came from a God he did not know and did not fear enough.
What do you need from me?
Come closer.
أفاد سلطنة.
He leaned in, expecting a private word. Eglon believed he was receiving another tribute. He never imagined he was receiving judgment. 18 years of chains answered in a single, silent motion. The hardest battle was never leaving the palace alive. 4 of Moab's finest stood between Ehud and freedom, and none of them yet knew their king was already gone. He walked out the way he walked in, unnoticed, unhurried, alone. No one searches a man twice for the secret he's already carried past them once. Behind him, a kingdom sat waiting for a king who would never rise again. Ehud did not run home to hide. He ran home to gather. At Mount Ephraim, he raised the shofar and let it sound across the hill country of Israel. A noise Moab's spies could not silence, because it wasn't a whisper, it was a declaration. One faithful act inside a throne room would become a war cry across a nation. Those who had bowed for 18 years rose at the sound of a ram's horn and remembered they were never meant to stay bowed. Moab, leaderless and unprepared, fell before the army Ehud had called into being. 10,000 of their strongest men could not outrun what one unwatched hand had already decided in a locked throne room. The chains 18 years in the making broke in a single day. So Moab was subdued that day under the hand of Israel. And the land